I'd say I started today thinking I was maybe going to ride a little more defensively. With the lead from yesterday, I kind of let some other riders dictate the pace a little bit earlier on, and Nathan from Kelly Benefits sort of initiated like the three-man move that Kerry, him, and I were in for most of the day, which was good. We rolled strong together, and then at the end I didn't want it to come down to a sprint. Because I don't think I really stood a good chance against those guys. So I made my move on like the final 10-minute climb, and maybe I had like a minute and a half at the top, and I kept looking back and kind of seeing him over my shoulder, and by the end it was like 40 seconds. So it was enough, but it was a bit closer and some exciting racing out there.
All right, how do you find the course today?
Oh, it was just unbelievably beautiful. Like that's what I was thinking the whole time, is just like a tunnel of green, basically. It was so cool. Like early on it was sort of like a rainforest, and a little like foggy down there, and then it changed. The vibe completely changed when we got up top, and it was a little bit drier but also like still super green and awesome. And then Tram Road was just this really like kind of bumpy, almost cobbly descent, but yeah, it was awesome, beautiful, and a good time as well.
It did seem like there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of danger for a lot of people on that descent on Tram Road. There's a lot of loose rock and edgy rocks and stuff. What's your strategy descending some of that? Do you hold back to try to keep air in your tires, or just go for it?
Well, I do. I like to lead, because then you can like have a good sight line ahead of you to like choose which side of the road you might want to be on, and you can see like maybe like more dangerous rocks that you might puncture on more easily, rather than like riding blind right behind someone. You don't know what you're going to run into. So even if you ride maybe a little faster up front, I think it's a bit safer, like just to be able to see further ahead.
What's like your tire system? Like how big of a tire? How much pressure you running?
Yeah, I'm running like a semi-slick 38 C tire, Vittoria Terreno Dry, and around 38 psi in the front, 40 in the back. So it's like maybe a little bit on the harder side, but also don't have a cush core in there. So that way I'm not like hitting the rim or pinching it quite as easily. Yeah.
All right. So what's the strategy going into tomorrow? You got a pretty good buffer, but it's it's like a bad flat away. So what's the strategy?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start a little bit defensive again, and then there's two big climbs in the middle, so we'll see how those shake out. I could see like a small group going over like the top of one of those maybe. But then the finish is it's a bit like just lumpier into the finish. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. It's going to be an exciting race, and I'm a bit worried for like Kerry and Nathan. They're punchy riders, so we'll see how it shakes out.
All right, man. Thanks
cool.
a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
All right, so Nathan, what's your last name?
Surowiec. Surowiec.
All right, so talk a little bit. It seemed like yesterday you had a little bit of adversity. Today went a lot better. Kind of compare, contrast what happened the past couple of days here.
Yeah, yesterday seemed like it was going well for the first hour or so, and went over a climb, and Kerry, Eddie, and Jeff had a bit of a gap going over the top. Got down the descent, caught up to Jeff, and we were coming into a pretty chunky gravel road, and on just flat section seemed pretty simple. I crossed over the middle, and usually that's where the rocks are on some of these sort of low traveled gravel roads, and my hand just bounced right off the bars, and I did just a somersault at probably like 20 miles an hour, and Jeff came to a complete stop right behind me and made sure I was all right, and so did the other guys that came by, but I just had to take like 10 minutes and collect myself, and then was waiting for my friend Chris Lane at the next aid station, and we just rode in together and had a great time, and sort of came into today hoping for a lot better than that, and honestly I got it. I think it was after the first time we went through the aid station today. I was following Eddie up a climb, and we were going at a good pace, but I couldn't really hear anybody behind me. And so I glanced back and had a bit of a gap to the next couple guys, probably 20 yards or so. And so I just pinned it, came around Eddie, and just went up that climb, and we got out to the next road, and Kerry had bridged up to us. And that was, I think, just before we were going to take Tram Road. And I kept it pretty fast on the road, and then tried to take the descent pretty quick, and we started rotating pretty quickly, and got quite a big gap pretty quick, and held that all the way to the finish. And the finish was sort of me and Kerry, I think, were expecting Eddie to just walk away with it, and so he punched it straight from the bottom, and we just sort of sat next to each other, and we're riding at still a really good clip, but knew we couldn't match Eddie on that sort of thing. And towards the top of that climb, I tried to come around Kerry and got a little bit of a gap, but he came right back to my wheel, so I figured that probably wasn't the best move. And at this point, we could still see Eddie, like, way off in the distance, just sort of about as far as we could see. We could see the yellow jersey. And me and Kerry were still rotating pretty good, and at that point, we probably couldn't see Eddie that much, and we had about 5Ks to go. And it was rolling and slight downhill to the finish. And me and Kerry still kept rotating and tried to keep it cordial. And we got to the last couple hundred yards, and I think he had wanted me in the front, which was fine with me because it was a crosswind, and I was able to take the inside of the last turn. And so did that and was able to hold him off in the sprint for second place.
Nice. And what's I take it, is that ironic, or do you not actually like cross?
No, this.
So you're not. So I was just going to ask about your background. So are you cyclocross or mountain bike road guy? Like, what do you?
I started with mountain bike racing, and I started with mountain bike racing. Went through a couple years of NICA, and sort of got to the point where I couldn't quite afford like the highest end mountain bike, which mountain biking is something where the best equipment can sometimes yield much better results than just a pretty generic hardtail. And so I noticed that road bikes were a lot cheaper to get into, and so went that route and ended up winning my first road race I did. And this was 2020, and towards the end of 2020, I got in contact with Kelly Benefit Strategies cycling team, and started racing with them. And at that point, I was still a Cat 4 on the road, and was able to go from a Cat 4 all the way to a Cat 1 within about 3 or 4 months in 2021. And sort of came into the fall of 2021 and figured I had really wanted to put emphasis on road racing, and that's what I had planned to do most of the year. And did that, and most of the spring I was racing and really just raced myself into a hole, and came into road nationals with some of the lowest fitness I had had in the previous year or two. And so quickly realized that, and this was just from about 8 weeks straight of, I think I did 25 race days in 8 weeks, and took a good week off, and then have been sort of rebuilding over the summer, and over August finally got into some more intervals again, and did a gravel race, Lost River Gravel Classic, something along those lines, in West Virginia last weekend, and did all right. I was third there, and here I am this weekend, second in the TSE gravel stage race on stage 2.
Great job. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Stage 2.
Stage 2, yep.
You're sitting in third.
I am sitting third, yep. Going in, sitting in third. And it was a great stage again today. We had to drive a little bit to a different area I'd never been before. Roads were great, vistas beautiful, and had a big group of people. So that made it fun because I was able to just chug along with a big group of people. And it was faster than sometimes I ride, but it was good. I was happy to have people to ride with. And then sitting with a woman, another woman in the category coming up the last climb, Liz, and she just dropped off the pace a bit. And so I was able to get a gap and then finish third. So I was happy.
Right. Good. So it's almost, I mean, you kind of identify more as like a mountain biker or cyclocrosser. Like, you've done both.
I've done both. I would identify more with mountain biking.
Mm-hmm.
Although since I just broke my 3 ribs in my hand, I maybe just like a novice mountain biker.
So so what brings you out for the gravel stuff, and how does it kind of compare? What do you like about it?
Yeah, never done a gravel. I do like gravel one-day races. Never done a stage race. And how does it compare? It's just totally different. I mean, it's fun. I'm doing it because I'm in a fitness deficit, so this will be a good boost. It doesn't really help me prepare for cyclocross, I don't think. But hey. But it's fun. It's every time I see a turn arrow though, I think he's going to put us in the woods because that's what I'm expecting. And then I have to remind myself, no, look for a road. Like we're going to hit. Don't ride in the woods where you can help it. But it's different. It's fast. Like it's good. Mountain biking, for the road sections, if you can stay with somebody, that's awesome. But this is like so much more important, which is not my style of riding. So.
Yeah. You having fun though?
Yeah, having a great time.
Well, we started at an airport and dropped, had a big descent off the start, and then, so preface this by saying, today was all, not a lot flatter, but, the climbs came more gradually. Yesterday it seemed like when you were climbing, it was really steep and, full on, and today was more it would pitch at the beginning maybe, but then it would flatten out. So drafting was definitely more of a helpful thing that you could take advantage of today. And we rolled with the same group of 5 that started the day yesterday. Rolled into Aid 1. We had a nice communal agreement that everybody was going to stop, so that was very cordial of everyone. We just kind of stopped, filled up bottles, and then got back after it. And that was the spirit of gravel, I think. We were touched. And after that, not long after that, I think Nathan, there was a little bit of a separation on a climb. Nathan sprinted up to Eddie, who was pushing the pace, and I was able to bridge the gap too, and that was then 3... us 3 got away, and then there was 3 guys behind us. So I guess it was a group of 6 that went off the front right away. And yeah, then it was just rally mode from there. Eddie was pushing the pace up the climbs and definitely gapping us. But then I don't think he wanted to ride alone today, especially that early in the race. He still had maybe 30 miles to go by himself, and I don't think he wanted that. So he would kind of really push us up the climbs. Nathan and I were kind of on similar levels today, and we'd just claw our way back up and then ride with Eddie on the flats, and we had nice cooperating very nicely, and rolled into Aid 2. 3 of us also had a nice conversation, decided to stop, filled up again, and then it was only 17 miles to the finish, and from there it's even less climbing, very flat, kind of gradual downhill with some rollers into the last climb, which was maybe 5 miles from the finish. And turned out of the last gravel section, paved climb, and Eddie just kind of danced away. I mean, it was very predictable what was going to happen based on what was happening the previous 55 miles or whatever. And then Nathan and I just tried to keep him in sight and keep him in check, and maybe thought we could roll into the airport together and maybe 2-on-1, trading pace lines, bring him back, but we weren't able to, and then we ended up sprinting, and he beat me.
He's pretty far back in the
Yeah.
overall because of his crash yesterday, right?
I'm not
Nathan?
gonna say I didn't try, but like, there definitely wasn't as much incentive to like really make sure I won the sprint, just because, yeah, he's way far back in GC. So,
How much time did Eddie put into you today?
I think like a minute or less than a minute. So like not a huge amount
What did you
of
have
time.
from yesterday? Was it?
He got a lot of time yesterday. I was not having a great last 14 miles and hemorrhaged like 6 minutes on him or something like that. So.
Were you saying you were cramping yesterday? You cramping today? Or?
No, and I was like very nervous of that, like keeping that in check all day, doing a lot of leg shakes to make sure I was like keeping my muscles loose when they could be loose, and I think stopping at both aids and like just like chilling for a second helped with that. So yeah, no cramps, no twinges. I also think like yesterday I came into this race really rested, so yesterday I was just like really able to dig, and I think that like that intensity kind of shocked my muscles into that kind of cramp mode. So today, like with the heat not being so, the pace not being so high, I think that helped also, being able to draft.
You got? Do you have any hope of catching Eddie by the end of this thing? Because I mean, you're still like a bad flat away.
Yeah, bad flat. So I mean, like, you know, if he flats, I'm not gonna wait for him. But Eddie's definitely the strongest guy here. Like, he's just climbing really well, and so I think like for me, he's gonna either have to have a bad day or suffer a mechanical of some sort, and I don't wish that on anybody, but if it happens, I will capitalize.
It started out super hard. The first hour, I think we were averaging well over 21 miles an hour. Super fast, super hard. Part of it was my fault. I kind of drilled it from the start. I was trying to scare everybody, maybe, you know, hurt people early, and then they think, oh, maybe we should take it easy. But I think I just encouraged them more. And yeah, it split up just after the first hour, and it was Eddie, Kerry, and Nathan. And then it was me, Keith, and Ryan. And we basically just, you know, we cooperated and rode together for most of the day. It was good. It was a fun day.
And how'd you end up in the end?
Well, I wasn't really, we were just working together. So Keith and I crossed the line together. I don't know, maybe I was fourth, maybe he was fourth. I don't know, we crossed the line. It was good. Yeah, it was a team effort. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was solid. I mean, we were just trying to close the gap. And yeah, I think they only had like 2.5 minutes, which I'll take that. I mean, it's crazy that, you know, it seems like, wow, we got beat by 2.5 minutes, but we averaged over 20 miles an hour for a course like this. It's bonkers.
Yeah, what were the stats on this course today? Like mileage and elevation?
I think it was 63 miles. Just under 65 miles. 65 miles, and let's see, how much elevation did it tell me? 5,000, so not too bad.
Today easier than yesterday?
Oh yeah, yeah. Nothing like crazy steep. Just like, you know, just grinding, 3-4%. Yeah, today I liked the course a lot. Super fast. Yeah, beautiful gravel roads. It was really good.
Nice. All right. Great job today. Thanks.
Thanks.
So we were like comfortably in the second group, just working with, I don't know, 6 or 7 guys. And then it was Tram Road, wasn't it? That bumpy one?
Yep.
Like the bottom third, I was flying down in, punctured, rolled it for a while, tried to see if it'd seal. It didn't. So I had to plug it twice. And by the time I got down bottom, I was like 5 minutes back. So I was by myself for a while. Chris Lane came up behind me, and I worked with him. He's just a diesel. And we're just chugging along, and base of the last climb, we're less than a minute back, so I went to work and caught Steph towards the top and just attacked. I was like, see what happens, and got a little gap and then just put my head down and hauled it in here. I can't believe that it came back together. It sounded like she had a mechanical maybe a little bit prior to me, and she passed me on that, so man, that was fun. I thought it was like, if she was still with the group after Tram, I was like, the day's over, there's no chance. So, one day.
Well, better at descending on the road, so Britt and I hit the bottom of the road descent together with a nice group of dudes. Kept it rolling together basically until around the halfway point. And then both of us got mechanicals on Tram. I think probably I was almost lucky. I got mine at the top before it got really bumpy. So I had to stop and fix things and was like, yeah, bummed. But then kind of coming through the really bumpy part, I saw that Britt also had trouble and, you know, kind of just kept it rolling. In road, we stopped for the yellow jersey, but since we had both had mechanicals, I figured it was okay. And then it was just a man-on-man dogfight from there until the finish. She had more on the climb today. I gave it everything I could have, so fun racing out there. Nice race for her. Congrats on the win.
All right.